Hello and welcome back, dear friends, at Lit eCity YouTube channel, the one-stop destination for preparation of English literature. Dear friends, in our series, Most Important Post-Colonial Writers, in today's episode, we are going to cover three very important writers. One is Elleke Boehmer, the other one, very popular one, Michael Ondaatje, and the third one is Israel Zangwill. So let's take them one by one. The first writer we are going to discuss is Michael Ondaatje, born in 1943. Dear friends, Michael Ondaatje, he was born in Sri Lanka. Then he moved to England at a young age in 1954, and his education was that of England. In 1962, he immigrated to Canada. So you can see he has a plethora of experience of living in both colonies and the colonizer. The Dainty Monsters is his first poetry collection. Dear friends, Ondaatje is not only an established novelist. About the as a novelist, I hope that you know about him, but he is also an accomplished poet. Dainty Monsters, published in 1967, is his first poetry collection. It is a series of lyrics that juxtapose everyday life with mythology. In fact, the use of mythology is one of, we can say, a permanent element obsession with Ondaatje. The collected works of Billy the Kid, Left-Handed Poems, is a fictionalized tale of the life of the outlaw Billy the Kid, who was an infamous figure in the wild American West. Now, it is basically a very, we can say, a new type of experiment in literature at that time in 1970, because the story is told in form of poems, forms, which are quite, we can say, haphazard. There is no order, and these poems basically reveal the dual identities of Billy the Kid and his given identity, William Barney. His other collections include Secular Love, which is about personal poetry, breakup of his own marriage. It is depicted in these poems. And other important poetry collections include The Cinnamon Peeler. Once again, the collection includes poem about his personal life, Handwriting Poems, which is his latest poetry collection. His first novel, Coming Through Slaughter, is another experiment, a fictional portrait of jazz musician Buddy Bolden, and presenting his gradual descent into madness because of use of heavy drugs. Now, in the skin of a lion, through the protagonist Patrick Louis, who is a laborer. This novel fictionalizes the lives of the immigrants who play a large role in the building of city of Toronto in the early 1900s. This is definitely a post-colonial novel because it tries to raise the muted voice of those immigrant laborers who have contributed to the development of modern developed countries. His most acclaimed novel, The English Patient, published in 1992, is actually a sequel to In the Skin of a Lion. It is sequel not in manner of story, but because of certain characters who make their second appearance in this novel. The novel was so popular, it was so much acclaimed that it won not only 1992 Booker Prize for Fiction, but in 2018 it won Golden Man Booker Prize, which was a special prize celebrating 50 years of Booker Prize. If we talk about the story of the novel, which is very important one, it is set in Italy at a particular villa at the end of Second World War and tells the story of women Hannah, three men, Caravaggio, Kip, and the English patient whose name is actually for a larger part of the novel is kept anonymous. Hannah is a French Canadian nurse. She is taking care of one single patient who is almost on his deathbed, who is also semi amnesia, means he is lapsing into a kind of state in which he is not able to remember anything about his past, and he is badly burned during the war, and the only identity is that he is an English patient. Only these two are there in the villa, which actually was once was church, and the patient, whenever he is able to speak, tells her a story of a desert time to time. She also reads to him from the books from the library of the villa. In fact, the English patient also carries many books of philosophy, and I must tell you here that Ondaatje actually based this novel on a real person. Their solitude is, however, disrupted with the arrival of a fellow Canadian, David Caravaggio, who is a member of intelligence service and who is certain that this English patient had some German connection. The patient then, once when he gets a bright spark of remembering his past, he tells that his name is Almazi. He worked as a cartographer in North Africa, and then it was interrupted by the war, and he also informed these two people about his unsuccessful love affair with a married woman, Catherine Clifton. Meanwhile, Hannah also begins a relationship with Kip Singh. Now, Kip Singh is a Sikh from India, and his unit has camped on the lawn of this villa or turned church. There are reports of the atomic bomb dropped on Japan by America. Kip is obviously enraged by this atrocity of the Western powers. He first threatens to kill the English patient because he considered this person to be the symbol of the West. But later he decides to flee away from this villa on his motorcycle. Years later, he has a family of his own, and now he has become a doctor in India. He is happy and fulfilled, but always wonders what happened to Hannah. Anil's Ghost, published in 2000, is set in Sri Lanka. It tells the story of Anil Tissera, a forensic anthropologist who is investigating a series of politically motivated murders on the island. Now, paired up with the anthropologist Sarath Diasena, it is the discovery of human remains in the Bandarawela caves that drives their quest for the truth. Once again, this novel was also hugely popular among the people. In The Cat's Table, Ondaatje uses his own experiences traveling from the newly independent Ceylon or Sri Lanka to England when he was just 11 and creates a fictional version of his 3-week ocean trip. The novel is set in London after the end of Second World War. War Light is narrated by a 14-year-old Nathaniel who, with his sister Rachel, who is 16, is left by his parent for a government assignment in Singapore. These two children, when they have grown up, they try to find out the exact reason why their parents left them and was it a logical reason. Michael Ondaatje now lives in Toronto with his wife Linda Sparling, and they both edit the literary journal Brick. So these are some important facts by regarding Ondaatje. The second writer we will discuss today is Israel Zangwill, born in 1864 and died in 1924. He is considered as one of the father figure of Zionism. He is an Anglo-Jewish writer, political activist who started his career as a journalist, and he started contributing to Jerome K. Jerome's periodical The Idler. He was also known to be a good satirist of the period. In 1881, his short story Professor Grimmer won a literary contest, and this career as a short story writer and novelist was launched. With the publication of his most popular and important work, Children of the Ghetto, a study of a peculiar people, Zangwill became a literary celebrity. This novel earned him the nickname of the Dickens of the Ghetto. It was followed by the collection Ghetto Tragedies, Dreamers of the Ghetto, and Ghetto Comedies in different years. This was a very, very popular and critically acclaimed work. In the 20th century, Zangwill turned to drama and in the direct involvement in the social movement of his day. The metaphorical phrase melting pot, which means American absorptions of immigrants across the world, it was popularized by Zangwill's play The Melting Pot, first produced in 1908. So now you can evaluate his role, though he is not such a literary giant, but his work, research, and publication has brought to the front the voice of immigrants. The last writer for the day is Elleke Boehmer, who is a founding figure in the field of post-colonial literary studies, known for her research in the Anglophone literatures of empire and anti-empire. She is the author of 5 novels: Screens Against the Sky, published in 1990, An Immaculate Figure in 1993, Bloodlines in 2000, Nile Baby in 2008, and The Shouting in the Dark in 2015. Her critical works include Indian Arrivals 1870 to 1950, Networks of British Empire. The work offers a dynamic overview of the British imperial history and the role of immigrants in the development of British Empire. She is also the author and editor of other critical books, including Colonial and Post-Colonial Literature, Sharmila and Other Portraits. Now, Sharmila and Other Portraits, this work is hailed as a new kind of South African literature about social transition. It doesn't talk about discrimination and other things. It talks about amalgamation and hybridity. Dear friends, that's all for today in our series Post-Colonial Writers. We will soon back with more writers, important writers. Till then, watch these videos, support this channel, and inform me on which other topics I should make videos. Thank you, friends.